10 gemstones that glow under moonlight and their legends. Some stones behave differently when the sun disappears and the world turns silver, not loudly, not brightly, but with a presence that becomes apparent only in silence. Throughout history, people across cultures have told of gemstones that come alive in the moonlight, stones that change color, emit a faint glow within, or reveal hidden patterns that disappear in the morning. These effects are not myths. They are real, measurable phenomena, optical responses caused by molecular structure, trace elements, and time. But the stories built around them are just as powerful. Some of these stones are placed in tombs, others are exchanged in rituals of love and protection, and a few are known for what they reveal. In today's episode, we explore 10 of the most extraordinary gemstones ever found. Stones that don't sparkle in the sunlight, but wait for it, the moon. Each has a legend. Each holds something the light of day never sees. And when the night falls, they begin to answer. Remember to press and hold the like button, leave a comment, and hit subscribe before we begin. Ranked 10th, Phenakite. The stone that doesn't glow, but still shows you something. Beneath the dense granitic terrains of the Russian Urals, a little-known mineral was unearthed in the early 1800s. It was transparent, hard, and often mistaken for quartz. But under scrutiny, it proved to be something else. Phenakite is a beryllium orthosilicate that crystallizes in the trigonal system. Though its name derives from the Greek word phoenix, meaning deceiver, this stone is not a false promise. It is misunderstood. Unlike quartz, Phenakite possesses a relatively high refractive index, measured between 1.65 and 1.68, and notable birefringence. Its hardness, 7.5 to 8 on the Mohs scale, places it beneath top-tier gems like sapphire and spinel. What distinguishes phenakite optically is its strong light dispersion, which, though not as explosive as diamond, becomes uniquely evident under low-light conditions. In soft illumination, such as moonlight, well-cut phenakite can refract ambient light into a subtle, prismatic shimmer that appears to emanate from within the stone itself. This is not luminescence in the scientific sense. Phenakite is non-fluorescent and non-phosphorescent, but rather a product of pure optical physics governed by internal refraction and dispersion. This behavior gave rise to local folklore in Russia during the 19th century. In villages near Yekaterinburg, where gem-quality phenakite was first documented in 1833, elders spoke of a stone that flickered for the dead. Phenakite was said to catch the moonlight and guide wandering spirits through the woods when placed atop burial stones during full moons. Though never institutionalized as ritual practice, the legend persisted in regional oral histories, and travelers through the Ural forests reportedly sought out these stones for protection on night journeys. The belief was not based on superstition alone. It was shaped by the stone's real interaction with natural light. Scientifically valuable and gemologically rare, phenakite has been sourced beyond Russia, in Myanmar, Madagascar, Sri Lanka, Brazil, Zimbabwe, and Colorado. Among these, Myanmar and Madagascar have produced some of the most investment-grade stones in recent decades, especially those above 5 carats with high clarity and expert faceting. In today's gem market, such specimens are uncommon and often misidentified as colorless beryl, topaz, or low-grade diamond simulants. When properly recognized and certified, high-quality phenakite can sell between $500 and $4,000 per carat, depending on provenance and cut. Despite its clarity and brilliance, phenakite remains a collector's gemstone more than a commercial staple. Its rarity in large, inclusion-free sizes, coupled with its modest global awareness, has limited its mainstream appeal. But to those who seek it, not for mass production but for what it reveals, phenakite offers a visual phenomenon that no other stone replicates under the moon's subtle touch. It requires no enhancement, no coating, no engineered lighting, just silence and the right moment. Ranked 9th, Apatite, the crystal that stores a whisper of light. In geological terms, apatite refers not to a single mineral, but to a group of phosphate minerals with closely related chemical compositions. The most common form, fluoripatite, carries the chemical formula C of 5PO43F, Transparent gem-quality specimens, particularly those in rare shades of neon blue or deep lagoon, are occasionally discovered in pegmatites and metamorphic rocks, especially in Brazil, Madagascar, Myanmar, and Mexico. Among collectors and gemologists, blue apatite has attracted interest not for its durability. It registers a relatively soft 5 on the Mohs scale, but for its vivid color and unusual optical behavior. Under specific conditions, some specimens exhibit phosphorescence, which can absorb light and slowly release it in darkness. This emission is faint and brief, often detectable only in pure darkness after the stone has been exposed to ultraviolet or high-energy visible light. Not all apatite fluoresces or phosphoresces, and those that do are typically of Brazilian or Malagasy origin. The effect, when visible, appears as a soft bluish glow that quickly fades, more like the after-image of light than a trustworthy source of illumination. In ancient coastal Peru, the Inca are believed to have used naturally occurring apatite crystals in ceremonial navigation tools, aligning them with moon cycles and ocean tides. While no documentation confirms they understood phosphorescence in the modern sense, specific stones were considered to hold night memory. They were ritually exposed to moonlight before being worn or buried with seafarers. The belief was not about brightness, it was about presence. Blue apatite, especially specimens above 2 carats with high saturation, is a niche gemstone in fine jewelry and metaphysical markets today. Commercially, its softness limits its use in rings or daily wear pieces. Still, its electric color and relative rarity have given it a modest collector value, generally ranging from $10 to $100 per carat, depending on origin and cutting quality. From a scientific standpoint, the stone's phosphorescence results from trace element substitutions, often manganese or rare earth elements, that introduce energy traps in the crystal lattice. These traps delay the re-emission of absorbed photons, producing a glow after light exposure. The phenomenon is rare in apatite and not visible in all specimens. In absolute darkness, the glow does not persist for long. It fades within seconds, quiet, soft, barely noticeable. But that brief persistence is enough to have inspired centuries of reverence. Among those who work with light-sensitive minerals, apatite is not considered a gemstone of power. It is considered a gemstone of retention, of holding light, just long enough to remember it. Ranked 8th. Chalcedony, the stone that holds the light, not the flame. Among the many forms of silica found in the Earth's crust, Chalcedony holds a distinct position. It is not a mineral strictly but a crypto-crystalline aggregate, a tightly intergrown mixture of quartz and mogonite, both silica-based polymorphs. While chemically identical to quartz, its microscopic structure gives it very different optical properties. Chalcedony, particularly in white and pale blue varieties, can diffuse incoming light rather than reflect or refract it sharply. This quality becomes most apparent under soft, indirect illumination, such as moonlight. Light does not pass through it clearly nor bounce away brightly. Instead, it is absorbed and gently scattered inside, producing a muted, glowing effect described in gemology as waxy to silky luster. This is not luminescence. There is no emission of photons beyond what is absorbed. What appears as a glow is in fact controlled diffusion, a subtle optical phenomenon, not a chemical reaction. Blue and white chalcedony were considered ceremonial stones throughout Celtic and pre-Christian Europe. They were worn during rites held under full moons, placed on altars during solstice vigils, and sometimes buried with infants or older people to symbolize safe passage. The stone's behavior under the moonlight, quiet, subdued, yet visually distinct, led to beliefs that it absorbed the breath of the sky. Folklore in Western Ireland referred to it as Caol Solaris, meaning narrow light, not because it shone, but because it softened whatever light touched it. Geologically, chalcedony forms in volcanic and sedimentary environments, often filling cavities in basalt flows or lining the walls of low-temperature hydrothermal veins. Notable sources include Namibia, Turkey, Brazil, India, and the western United States, particularly Oregon and Montana. Its relative abundance and workability made it a staple in early human tools and ornaments. In the gem trade, chalcedony's value is modest. Its hardness, rated 6.5 to 7 on the Mohs scale, makes it suitable for carving and everyday wear, but rarely places it in the realm of high-end investment stones. What sets it apart is not price or rarity, but atmosphere. Under the moonlight, a well-cut cabochon of blue chalcedony does not shine, it softens. The edges blur, the surface breathes. It appears less like a gemstone in certain moments and more like condensed fog captured in stone. Some stones dazzle, others impress, and then some quiet the eye. Chalcedony does not interrupt darkness, it completes it. Rank 7th, opal, the light that doesn't stay still. Few materials in nature interact with light as unpredictably as opal. Structurally, it is a hydrated amorphous silica, SiO2.H2O, composed of microscopic silica spheres arranged in a grid-like pattern. Typically 150 to 300 nanometers, these spheres act as a diffraction grating. When properly aligned and densely packed, they scatter incoming light into its component wavelengths, producing the phenomenon known as play of color. This is not fluorescence or phosphorescence, it is physical diffraction, an optical interference caused by the interaction of light with the stone's internal lattice. The effect depends on the viewer's angle and the structure's precision. Only a subset of opals, classified as precious opals, exhibit this phenomenon, and even within those, the pattern and intensity vary dramatically. This optical behavior is vivid in sunlight. Under moonlight, it becomes more elusive. The visible spectrum narrows. Flashy reds and fiery greens give way to softer tones, pale blue, lavender, and pearl. White opals, in particular, respond to low ambient light with a gentler, more internalized shift in hue. The stone does not glow, it refracts in quiet. Most white opals come from Coober Pedy, a central mining district in South Australia. Though less expensive than black or bolder opals, high-quality white opals remain favored for their soft luminescence under diffuse light. In the Roman Empire, opals symbolized the unity of all other gemstones. Arabian legends describe them as solidified lightning. In classical Indian traditions, opals were associated with prophecy and were reserved for temple rituals. In all accounts, what gave opal power was not just color, but its constant movement. Opals form through the gradual deposition of silica-rich water into voids within rocks. Over time, as the water evaporates, uniform silica spheres accumulate layer by layer. The tighter and more ordered the arrangement, the more intense the diffraction. On the market, white opals with bright play of color across a clean body tone can reach $500 to $2,500 per carat. Exceptional black opals may exceed that by far. However, white opal remains the most responsive for those drawn to opals for their behavior under moonlight. The body tone amplifies subtle changes in light angle and environment, revealing fleeting moments of glow that darker varieties often conceal. An opal doesn't produce light. It responds to it. It resists permanence. No pattern repeats, no flash holds still, no surface remains unchanged. It is not a gemstone built to impress. It is a gemstone built to shift. Ranked 6th, fluorite, the mineral that responds to the invisible. Not all mineral behaviors are visible in daylight. Some require patience, darkness, and the proper alignment of conditions. Fluorite is one of the few that rewards such observation. Defined chemically as calcium fluoride, fluorite is a halide mineral that crystallizes in the isometric system. It forms most commonly in hydrothermal veins alongside lead, silver, and zinc. Depending on trace impurities, its color range spans nearly the entire visible spectrum: violet, blue, green, yellow, pink, and clear. What distinguishes fluorite is its optical sensitivity to ultraviolet and low-intensity visible light. Under UV exposure, many specimens exhibit fluorescence, a glow produced by the immediate re-emission of absorbed light. Sometimes that glow lingers briefly after the light source is removed. This secondary effect, phosphorescence, is rarer, fainter, and measurable. Certain deposits from the Rogerley mine in England, southern Illinois in the United States, and Durango, Mexico, produce fluorite that responds so well to light charging that a faint green or violet glow may remain visible for seconds after darkness falls. This glow is not intense in open natural environments, especially at night and under indirect moonlight. Still, it can be perceived without instruments, assuming the mineral has been properly primed by prior UV exposure. The phenomenon is physical, not mystical. It involves energy traps within the crystal lattice, where electrons absorb and release photon energy in delayed bursts. But this rare glow has taken on symbolic meaning across cultures and periods. In pre-colonial West Africa, deep violet fluorites were carved into ritual staffs used in ancestral rites. In dynastic China, pale green or colorless fluorite was placed near burial chambers and said to emit light in the presence of the dead. These traditions were not based on scientific understanding, but were not random either. They emerged from consistent observation. With a Mohs hardness of 4, fluorite is too soft for most jewelry, though its clarity and crystal form make it desirable for carvings, ornamental objects, and lenses. Octahedral and cubic habits are particularly valued in mineralogical and metaphysical circles. In the gem market, prices for fluorite remain accessible, typically between $2 and $30 per carat, with rare fluorescent or phosphorescent specimens fetching more among specialized collectors. The rarity is not geological. Fluorite is found worldwide. The rarity lies in its purity of structure and the precision of its optical behavior. Its glow cannot be forced. Its response cannot be rushed. It appears only to those who are willing to wait. No heat will coax it. No pressure will ignite it. Only light, the kind that most cannot see, will bring it to life. Ranked 5th, Selenite, the stone aligned with the moon. No other mineral bears the moon's name so directly. Selenite, derived from Selene, the ancient Greek goddess of the moon, is a form of gypsum and one of the most recognizable soft minerals on Earth. It forms long, transparent, milky white blades, sometimes fibrous or columnar. Its optical surface appears smooth to the eye, but it displays a mild linear sheen under low-angle light, especially from soft sources like candles or the moon. This effect is not a true glow. There is no luminescence and no energy emission. It results from directional scattering across fine internal fibers, stable, passive, and silent. With a Mohs hardness of 2, selenite is one of the most delicate materials in lapidary work. It scratches easily. It can split with a fingernail. It dissolves if submerged in water for long periods. For this reason, it is never faceted, never mounted in rings, and rarely included in gem valuation indexes. Yet its presence is enduring. Throughout Mesopotamia, selenite was shaped into tablets and thresholds, used not for writing, but for moon rites and seasonal transitions. In medieval Anatolia, sheets of thin selenite were fitted into shrine windows, filtering moonlight into ritual spaces. The practice was not decorative. It was observational. When placed in darkness and struck by natural light, the stone responded with soft clarity, refracting nothing but allowing just enough diffusion to be felt. Modern metaphysical traditions have adopted selenite not as a tool for energy, but as a marker of space. It lines meditation chambers, altar perimeters, and the edges of sacred circles. It is not invoked, it is included. On the mineral market, selenite holds little value in terms of rarity or durability. It is mined in abundance across Mexico, Morocco, and the American Southwest. Pricing ranges from 50 cents to $5 per piece, depending primarily on carving size and purity. Its importance lies not in scarcity, but in its role. It is not a centerpiece. It is not the light. It is the object that prepares the space to receive it. Selenite does not shine. It does not reflect sharply. It does not claim the eye. And yet, when moonlight finds it, gently and without warning, the stone responds as if it always knew it was meant to. Ranked 4th, Tugtupite, the stone that remembers warmth. In the high Arctic, where winter light fades into months of dusk, a rare mineral surfaces in veins of icy rock. Tugtupite, a beryllium aluminum tectosilicate with the formula sodium 4 aluminum. Beryllium silicon 4 oxygen 12 chlorine occurs deep within Greenland's Illimissak complex, one of the only known geological environments capable of forming it. The name derives from the Inuit word tutu, meaning reindeer, and is about the region where it was first discovered. Tugtupite's structure belongs to the sodalite group and its visual appearance ranges from soft pink to deep crimson. Under shortwave ultraviolet light, the mineral emits an intense fluorescent red, sometimes shifting to a deeper intensity after prolonged exposure. Tenebrescence has also been recorded in some high-purity specimens, a reversible color shift that darkens after light exposure, then slowly fades in darkness. These properties alone are unusual, but what sets Tugtupite apart is how its color and luminosity respond to temperature and human contact. Some specimens deepen in hue when warmed by skin, returning to pale pink once cooled. This thermochromic reaction is subtle, measurable, and repeatable, yet deeply tied to a myth that long predates its scientific documentation. Tugtupite is said to hold the heart's memory among the Inuit of southern Greenland. According to oral traditions, the stone's red glow represents love once given and never entirely lost. In rituals, it was gifted between bonded partners or left at the burial sites of a spouse. Its capacity to change color under warmth was not viewed as chemistry, but as emotion remembered by the earth. In conditions of natural darkness, after UV exposure or intense daylight, a high-quality Tugtupite may continue to emit a dull crimson fluorescence, a glow visible for several seconds in moonlit or unlit Arctic landscapes. This behavior is strongest when the surrounding air is cold and dry, allowing the residual emission to be seen without competing ambient light. Geologically, Tugtupite is exceptionally rare. Minor occurrences exist in Greenland, the Kola Peninsula, Russia, and Mont Saint-Hilaire, Canada. But no locality matches the fluorescence and size of Greenlandic specimens. It is fragile but workable, with a Mohs hardness of 4 to 6. Due to their visual dynamism and rarity, top-grade stones, especially those above 1 carat with intense color and confirmed fluorescence, can command $100 to $800 per carat on the collector market. This is not a gemstone that announces itself in brightness. It requires cold air, warm skin, and the absence of haste. Its glow can fade and return, and the color can deepen and vanish without notice. But something in the stone holds on. It remembers heat. It answers to touch. And when left alone beneath the moon, it keeps what was once given, quietly and without end. Ranked third, Hackmanite. The stone that forgets, then remembers. Light enters. Color fades. Time passes. Color returns. This is not folklore. It is a measurable, reversible change known in mineralogy as tenebrescence. Hackmanite, a variety of sodalite, is one of the few natural materials on Earth known to exhibit this effect. Its chemical formula places it in the feldspathoid family. It crystallizes in igneous rocks rich in sodium and chlorine, often forming under low silica, high alkali conditions. Specimens have been recovered in Greenland, Afghanistan, Myanmar, Tanzania, and parts of Canada. Freshly unearthed or stored in darkness, Hackmanite may display a soft lavender or pink tone. This color often fades to pale gray or off-white upon exposure to UV light or strong sunlight. When returned to darkness, the color slowly reemerges, sometimes over hours, sometimes in minutes, depending on temperature, impurity levels, and structural clarity. The mechanism behind this reaction involves the electron traps within the crystal lattice. Light energy excites electrons, causing them to shift positions and disrupt visible color. These electrons return to their original states in darkness, and so does the color. No part of the stone is destroyed or chemically altered. It simply changes, reverses, and repeats. Hackmanite was once used in seasonal rituals in northern Greenland to mark solar transitions. Stones were placed in communal spaces during the final days of constant daylight. As they lost their color, so too did the sky. When the long night came, the stones were retrieved, overseen as their original hues returned, not as proof of magic, but as rhythm, calendar, and confirmation that cycles hold. Hackmanite does not glow in the dark or emit light. Its response to moonlight is subtler, not visual emission, but delayed transformation. Under natural lunar conditions, if pre-exposed to sunlight earlier in the day, a high-grade Hackmanite may begin to shift its tone slightly again, regaining its original color under cover of night. This phenomenon is rare among minerals and highly prized among collectors. Stones that show strong, fast, and repeated tenebrescence are valued for scientific and aesthetic reasons. With a Mohs hardness of 5.5 to 6, Hackmanite is moderately durable and can be set in jewelry if properly protected. Top specimens from Myanmar and Greenland may sell for $100 to $600 per carat, depending on the strength of the reaction and the stability of color over time. Hackmanite does not preserve light, it measures its absence. It reflects nothing. It waits, it changes. And when the cycle begins again, light to dark, fade to return, it obeys. What was lost comes back, not because it was held, but because it was never truly gone. Ranked second, Labradorite, the light that waits beneath the surface. Color is not what defines this stone. Motion is. Labradorite is a feldspar mineral, a calcium-rich plagioclase in the anorthite albite series. It forms in igneous rocks, particularly within gabbroic and basaltic bodies. Its value does not come from clarity, rarity, or cut. It comes from what happens when the stone is moved. When properly oriented, Labradorite produces a distinctive optical effect known as labradorescence. This is not surface sheen, it is internal diffraction caused by lamellar intergrowths, layers of feldspar that formed under slow cooling conditions. Light is refracted, reflected, and scattered across microscopic planes as light enters the stone, releasing iridescent blue, green, orange, or gold flashes. These flashes exist beneath the surface, visible only at precise angles. When the stone is still, they disappear. When it turns, they ignite. The effect is not luminescent or fluorescent. It does not respond to energy, only to geometry. Labradorite was first identified on the Isle of Opal in Labrador, Canada, in 1770, but high-quality deposits are also found in Finland, spectrolite, Madagascar, Russia, and Norway. Spectrolite, in particular, exhibits a full spectrum of color, including violet and red, making it especially prized for ornamental and metaphysical use. Under moonlight, labradorescence becomes softer but more distinct. The harsh white balance of the sun is absent, replaced by low-angle, diffuse silver light. This allows the internal structures of the stone to scatter narrow wavelengths more visibly. What might appear dull during the day reveals complexity under the moonless explosive, more mysterious. In Inuit tradition, Labradorite is said to carry the northern lights, struck from the sky by a warrior's blade and trapped in the rock. While symbolic, the story echoes the stone's behavior. Light that seems to be held inside, waiting to be released. Labradorite has a Mohs hardness of 6 to 6.5, making it suitable for jewelry. However, it must be cut and oriented with care to maximize optical response. Stones with broad, multicolored flashes and dark body tones are the most valuable, ranging from $20 to $200 per carat, depending on the effect's source, size, and strength. Stillness hides its character. Rotation reveals it. Each movement uncovers something different. Not because the stone has changed, but because the light found a new path. No glow, no emission, only reflection, arranged with intention. Like memory, like vision, like something waiting quietly until you're finally looking in the right direction. In first place, Moonstone, the light that rises from within. Some minerals reflect light, some crystals scatter it, and then there is Moonstone, where light does not strike the surface, but emerges from beneath it. Moonstone belongs to the feldspar group, specifically orthoclase and albite intergrowths. These two minerals cool at different rates during formation, creating thin, alternating layers at the microscopic level. When light enters the stone, it is scattered between these layers, producing an optical effect called a fluorescence, a soft, internal glow that appears to float beneath the surface. A fluorescence does not project. It hovers. It shifts as the stone moves, often in pale blue, white, and sometimes gold. The best specimens display a centered, undisturbed glow, usually described as a light trapped in water. Moonstone is typically found in Sri Lanka, India, Myanmar, Tanzania, and parts of the Alps. The name Adularia originated from the Adula mountain range. Sri Lankan moonstones are prized for their high transparency and intense blue sheen. This stone was given to nearly every ancient culture that named the moon. In India, moonstone was believed to contain solidified moonbeams. It was used in spiritual ceremonies aligned with the lunar calendar and worn by travelers to protect them during full moons. In Rome, it symbolized reconciliation between lovers, between nations, between past and future. In Persia, it was thought to soften the anger of kings. In Greece, it was placed in the hands of the dead. Under moonlight, moonstone doesn't glow brighter. It grows quieter. The surrounding darkness lowers contrast, allowing the inner light to stand out. Unlike sunlight, which often overwhelms adolescence, moonlight reveals it in its intended state, subtle, shifting, and undemanding. Moonstone is not rare, nor is it structurally complex. It must be handled gently with a Mohs hardness of 6 to 6.5. But its optical behavior, combined with its history of use in ritual and protection, has made it a permanent fixture in jewelry and myth. Top specimens with vivid blue sheen, minimal inclusions, and cabochon cuts can reach $50 to $500 per carat, though their value is often measured in symbolism rather than weight. It is the final stone in this list, not because it shines the most, but because it does exactly what the moon does. It does not seek attention. It holds its glow until everything else goes still, and only then does it answer. Some gemstones dazzle in the sun, but the ones you've just seen, they wait for something quieter. Each one tells a story that only begins when the world turns dark. Not every glow is meant to be bright. Not every legend was made for daylight. Some were always meant for the night. If one of these stones stirred something in you, a memory, a question, or a name you haven't heard in years, you're not alone. Please share it in the comments or keep it for the next moonlit night. And if you'd like to travel deeper into the stories hidden beneath the earth, we're here every week with a new legend, a new light, and another stone that waits to be found.